Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for the City of Goodyear, Monday, August 20th. Will you please join Councilmember Loretano for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, as we come back from our break, please give us the wisdom and the confidence and the ability to make the good decisions for our citizens and protect all those citizens that help us every day in our lives. We ask for special protection for those that are serving abroad in the military and those who serve us here at home and put their lives on the line. We ask that we are able to make the wise decisions to help our citizens live a more prosperous life. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had a good summer. And to begin, we will be calling our roll call. And I know everyone's here except for Mayor Lord, and she is actually enjoying right now a week with her grandson, who just was getting married. But we do need to ask for a motion and a second to excuse Mayor Lord.
So moved.
Second.
I have both of those, and all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Communications. We have two communication items tonight. Brian Dahlke will present. Mr. Dahlke?
Vice Mayor, members of the council, I'm glad you're all back safe and sound. Some of you were doing world traveling, and many of the rest of you were out of Arizona for significant amounts of time. So it's good to have you back, and hopefully you're rested, and we're heading back into season and getting busy again. I do have a couple of communications items that I want to bring to your attention now, and I'll have some certainly at the later as well. But one is I wanted to introduce our new Deputy City Manager, Jeff Figgenshoe. He's in the audience. We'll have him say a couple of words in a minute, but I wanted to give just a brief intro of Jeff. We're excited to have him. He rolled in Saturday night all the way from Illinois. So today was his first day, and he handled it quite well, so we're happy to have him on our team. But he brings with one of the things, we went through a very comprehensive search for Deputy City Manager nationwide. Jeff absolutely was the most qualified, and certainly I want to talk a little bit about his experience. He brings 9 years of city management experience, smaller towns throughout, really where they were is Shorewood, Illinois, Princeton, Illinois, Sac City, Iowa, never been there, David City, Nebraska. But during that time, wearing several hats as you do as a city or town manager, he was over finance, zoning, water, wastewater, sanitation, streets, fire, police, and parks. So a lot of good practical experience that we're excited to get here. He also, one of the things that he brings is budget development and management. We're going to task him with helping us out with our performance-based budgeting. He most recently did that in Shorewood. And he has worked in economic development, so we'll have arm wrestling over that a little bit because we both love and enjoy that particular discipline with the cities. But the groups that Jeff will be over are police, fire. He will have a liaison back to the court, finance, city clerk, and ITS. So again, help me welcome Jeff, and Jeff is going to say a couple of words. Thank you.
Jeff? You could come up to the podium. I believe
can I come up to the podium? Okay.
Welcome, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. I just appreciate the opportunity to work for the City of Goodyear. I was so impressed when I went through the interview process, and you already know this, but you have some great staff members. I was very impressed by your city manager, a good man of integrity, and he likes to be a little sarcastic with me, and I appreciate that. He keeps it real, so he's a good man, and I very much enjoyed meeting him. And then all the staff in the audience there was great. Everybody's been wonderful. and I've enjoyed it. And you guys were very personable. I have to tell you, when I interviewed, I was nervous because in a bigger community, you see some of these elected officials, and it can be intimidating to approach them. But every one of you that I met was very personable and great to talk to. And some of us, Councilmember Stipp is from Illinois or served in Illinois. So, I mean, it's a small world, and we've got a shared background. So I appreciate the opportunity. I'm looking forward to helping move your community, now my community, forward. And I'll work hard every day to make you proud. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, I do have one other announcement, and that is Maureen Scott sitting to my left, and I want to formally introduce her, not as a person you've known her for a long time, but as our city clerk. Since August 6th, she's been serving in this capacity, so when Lynn Mulhall retired, Maureen rose to the ranks, and she's been, brings a lot of experience. She's been a valuable member of the clerk's office, 6 years? It's since February of 2008, she was actually as a number 2 as a deputy city clerk. She has a couple of things we're proud of. She's certified municipal clerk, and she's working on what we call the master municipal clerk designation, which is really the epitome of clerkism, if you will. That one just hit me. I don't know why. But I have asked Maureen just to say a couple of words if she would like. Thank you.
All right, Maureen. Let's hear your clerkism.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Osborne and council members. I have lived in this city for 7 years now, and this is my 4th city that I've called home. And when I first moved here, I couldn't believe when you drive down the streets, they're clean, the city's clean. Of course, they're still clean. It's just a beautiful city, just driving down Litchfield Road, looking at all those beautiful palm trees. And you know what really shocked me was the city picked up bulk trash. I'm like, what? And there was events in the community parks that were free. Concerts, comedy night, I just couldn't believe it. So now I have actually worked for the city for 6 years now, and I feel so blessed working for a great city, but also living in a great city. Because you know what? The employees with the city care. And I feel that I'm a part of that. And I just feel so appreciative and thankful of this new opportunity that I have as city clerk. And I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to do an awesome job, but also with the help of the awesome city clerk's office. So thank you very much, and we just want to continue to support the citizens and the employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now's the time for citizens' comments. They may address the City Council on any non-agenda item. Do we have any speaker cards, Maureen? No. Okay, so moving on to our consent agenda. I will ask the City Clerk to read the consent agenda items A through E by title only.
Item A, approve draft minutes of a regular meeting and a special meeting held on July 9th, 2012. Item B, approve a request from Randy Nations representing TRLLH LLC for a person transfer series 07 liquor license 07070250 for Tres Rios Golf Course at Estrella Mountain, located at 15205 West Vineyard Avenue, generally located at the southeast corner of Estrella Parkway and Vineyard. Item C, appoint Catherine Miller to the Arts and Culture Commission to fulfill the remainder of Ed Bonavecchio's term, which ends December 31st, 2013. Item D, approve the preliminary plat for PV 303 East, subdividing 375 acres into 6 lots and 3 tracts generally located between Camelback Road and Indian School Road and between Pebble Creek Parkway and the Loop 303 in the PV 303 Planned Area Development District as amended, with commercial C2 and industrial I1 as the underlying zoning districts subject to stipulations. Item E, adopt Resolution 12-1496 authorizing the city manager or designee to execute and renew the amended and restated intergovernmental agreement with the city of Avondale for an annual parade and festival.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak on any item or have any item pulled from the consent agenda? Do we have any speaker cards?
No.
Okay, anyone from council have any questions? Or yes, Mr. Fuller.
I have a couple of questions on item D, and I'm sure that Brett Birmingham could answer them if he would come up. Brett, there were a couple of in the COAC there were a couple of stipulations that were removed due to duplication, but you alluded to the fact that these stipulations were going to remain in effect because there was some duplication. And in following this whole process, could you elaborate a little more on those for me?
Sure. Thank you, Vice Mayor Osborne, members of the council. There were two stipulations that were modified / removed at the Planning Commission meeting. The first one was due to a mistake on staff's behalf. We had it worded incorrectly, and that is stipulation. Let's see. Bear with me for just a minute here. I just want to pull it up for you so I can give you a correct reference. Councilmember Gelser, your question is regarding the stipulations in reference to disclosures of adjacent commercial activities?
No, I'm in the write-up. You have former stipulation number 15, form 16, 17, and 18, and you said these, even though it says above that, even though the following stipulations were deleted from the staff report, they are still in force through the property zoning approvals. And so what I'm asking for is a little bit more elaboration on why these. I understand the fact that we don't want to have duplication, but sometimes we like to have a belt and suspenders to make sure that everything does go according to plan. And so that's my question.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Osborne, Councilmember Gelser. When we had turned the staff report into the legal department, our assistant city attorney had worked with us to make sure that the staff report contained the proper stipulations. We did add 3 to 4 stipulations that were kind of common knowledge, kind of reciting some of the zoning ordinance standards, and the decision was made to take those out because we didn't include several other additional stipulations that were provided in the zoning stipulations. And so the decision was made to take those 3 or 4 out. One was regarding, for instance, the project needs to be in compliance with the outdoor lighting code, which is basically common knowledge, is outlined in the zoning ordinance. So there were about 3 of those that were taken out. And the thought was we only needed to include the ones that were applicable to the final plat that was being.
So in essence, in the future, we will not see a belt and suspenders approach to stipulations. We will just see stipulations that are germane to the individual project and not just the generic boilerplate stipulations that we have had over the last several years. Would that be a fair statement?
Vice Mayor Osborne, council members, under the direction of the legal department, we wanted to make sure that we didn't recite any more stipulations than we needed to.
Okay, let me ask the lawyer, because you knew I was coming.
Well, I started to formulate this.
Okay, so is this a result of 1528?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with that, Madam Vice Mayor and members of the council. I think a lot of the review is coming out of that process. As you know, in 1598, now if you impose a regulation on development, you have to cite your authority on where you're pulling that regulation from. So as a consequence of that new legislation and working through the process, we started looking at all aspects of our development regulations. Looking at the plat, seeing which stipulations are appropriate for a plat, which stipulations should be on a zoning, because we have a lot of stipulations we put on both plats and zoning, so we're just trying to parse through those, figure out which ones really need to be there. As in these cases, looking at our zoning code, if it's already in the zoning code, it may not necessarily need to be in a plat. So you're absolutely right. It flows from the 1598 review, and we're just trying to refine our platting steps to make sure we're in compliance with the new laws.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Okay. Then I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. I apologize.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Gelzer,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
passes 6-0.
Okay, next on the agenda are one item of business. The first item is the appointment of Maureen Scott as Secretary to the Public Safety Personnel Retirement Police and Fire Boards and the Fire Building Code Enforcement Appeals Board. Maureen, will you please give us your presentation?
Good evening again, Vice Mayor Osborne and council members. This item before you is to appoint me to the Public Safety Personnel Retirement Police and Fire Boards, as well as the Fire Building Code Enforcement Appeals Board as Secretary. Lynn Mulhall recently resigned from the city, and she was the previous secretary for these boards. I have taken Lynn's place as city clerk, and the clerk has been the support for these boards, providing clerical support, agenda, and making sure the agendas and minutes are posted for the open meeting law. And I've also participated in these meetings as acting clerk at times. And staff is recommending me to appoint me to these as secretary to these boards, and that concludes my presentation.
About you. Okay, thank you. Are there any speaker cards on either one of these items? No? Okay. Well, we do have to vote on each of these separately. I would like to ask for a motion to appoint Maureen Scott to the Public Safety Personnel Retirement Police and Fire Boards as secretary to both boards, with a term expiring August 20th, 2016.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then I'd like a motion to appoint Maureen Scott to the Fire Building Code Enforcement Appeals Board as secretary, with a term expiring December 31st, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, now, it's my privilege to be able to give the oath of loyalty to Ms. Scott.
She doesn't have to give it to herself.
Not to herself. That just wouldn't be right. Okay. Okay, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the State of Arizona,
And the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
And I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic.
and that I will faithfully and impartially
And I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of secretary
discharge the duties of secretary
for the Fire Building Code Enforcement Appeals Board.
for the Fire Building Code Enforcement Appeals Board.
All right. And the Public Safety Personnel Retirement Police and Fire Board.
And the Public Safety Retirement Board for the Police and Fire,
And according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So I do affirm.
All right. Good job. well, that was quick and sweet. So, as we move forward, information items. Does council have any comments? Oh, I can't even say that. Reports on current events. You've all been gone. Is there anything you want to tell us about?
I do.
Yes, Wally.
Thank you. Sherry, I'm going to let you or Joanne or Vice Mayor talk about the Estrella event, and I'll just highlight the other events, okay? I attended the ASU presentation on the Sonoran Desert, if I can find my note here, the presentation of the outline of the conservation proposal for the West Valley. And it was very interesting, and I enjoyed hearing the presentation. I had attended a couple of the presentations in the West Valley, but it was a different presentation than what I saw at ASU, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I also attended the Faith Community Roundtable, and I attended Project Connect, which is a project that is put on by Valley of the Sun United Way in an effort to end homelessness in the West Valley, and it was put on at the Christ Evangelical Church at 918 Litchfield Road, and they had over 40 vendors there that provided outreach services to anyone that needed it, and it was so rewarding. By the time I had gotten there about 10:30 in the morning, they had already seen 300 people. So I'm anxious to get a report at the end of next week to really see how many folks actually went through there. But they provided clothing, food, Great Clips had haircuts, they had medical help there, they had spiritual help, they had people from DES, they had people from Vital Records. It was just amazing, and the community volunteers that were there was a huge number, and they were most of my neighbors. I was surprised to see them there helping, but that was very nice. I also attended the Banner Estrella Medical Center special indoor groundbreaking event, and that's what everybody should attend when you go to a groundbreaking event, is to be inside where it's air conditioned and watch it on a PowerPoint. It was wonderful. But Banner Estrella Medical Center has broken ground now to add 175 bed tower to their existing facilities, and we're happy that they are doing that. I'm also working with the Centennial Committee still to set up a nonprofit for our foundation. And last but not least, I went with an Arizona Republic reporter this morning, and we took a tour of the train station in the Public Works Yard. So look for a positive, nice story about how Goodyear is saving a historic building. So thank you.
Very nice. Sherry?
Just a couple things. I attended the Arizona in Action, Joe's going to laugh, board meeting on Saturday. And I just want to give kudos
Where
to.
were you?
I was stuck in the elevator, Nathan, and everyone's been basically busting my chops there. But just a great job from our fire department. They rescued us, so good job. And then I attended the Estrella meeting about the power lines, the APS power lines. Several of us attended that, and there was a great turnout. There's lots of alternatives. So if anybody's watching this or you live up there and you want to say on where those power lines may go, please go online to APS's website and put your input in. And then the only other announcement I have is I really think we need to bring a lot of attention to our schools here in Goodyear did absolutely phenomenal in the last round of ratings. We have a lot of A schools, which is how they switched the ratings the last couple years. And on the Ames test, many of our schools exceeded state standards, which I don't think we hear enough about that. We hear how bad education is, but I know our little elementary school, Estrella Mountain Elementary, got an A, and they exceeded their Ames schools and several other schools in Goodyear. So if we could get that information out, I would appreciate that. I just think that's something we need to let people know about.
Very good. Joe?
Just real quick, I was also at that meeting, Arizona Action, but I was outside the elevator. And also, I attended a meeting with the vice mayor just to expand on ADOT's reaching out to the business community. And I thought they did a very good job. It was a pretty decent turnout there. What would you, 30, 40, somewhere around there? But we also suggested, and they said they would, is to reach out to Amazon, reach out to Macy's, reach out to some of our big employers to make sure they're aware of the closings and how traffic will be written. And they said they would, if they don't come, in other words, if the mountain doesn't come to them, they will go to the mountain. So that was kind of nice to hear from ADOT that they will reach out even if they don't show there. So
I appreciate that. And you know what's even nicer? Our own staff already had. So I was really happy to hear that we were being proactive, and that was very good. Gary?
This is on a lighter note. On my recent sojourn across the North Atlantic, for the second year in a row, I officially met with Mayor Dennis O'Keefe of the city of St. John's, Newfoundland, and extended the well wishes from the city of Goodyear to this beautiful city. And they do have a very nice mug from our Goodyear Police Department that is proudly displayed in the mayor's office. So I want you to know that I was working a little bit while I was traveling. Thank you.
Very nice. Well, I guess just quickly, I appreciate that you brought up the Project Homeless Connect. I actually was there at 7:30, and I'm glad to hear that some of those figures were being, those numbers were being seen. And you know, this is not just about a hand out. This is also about a hand up and changing these people's lives. And this is the second time that it's come to the Southwest Valley in the last, I think, around 4 or 5 years. So I really appreciate that. You know, we do have individuals out here that need help, and I appreciate that we have that going for us. Also with the Homeless Youth Connection, you know, we have that going for us. So it's really good. We have outstanding citizens in the Southwest Valley. Very proud of them. Actually, Sherry, just to let you know and to let all of you know that in September we are having our Goodyear Education Symposium, Building Blocks for Better Education, bringing everybody back together again. And that's excellent point about how well some of our schools are doing. So thank you very much. Our city manager, do you have anything to report?
Mayor and Council, I do have a couple of items. One is just to reiterate on the Arizona Learns. We will be doing follow-up on that. There were 16 schools in the West Valley that received grades of A, and 4 of those were in Goodyear. 8 we had that received Bs, which is above average. So they actually did it in A through F category. So we did very well, and we will be getting information out on that. Just to, so that's as a follow-up. The other, and I'll jump over to what we're doing with Cotton Lane closure. It's been talked about, but just a couple of things as a reminder. Cotton Lane will be closing Sunday morning, August 26th, because of the construction going on at the I-10-303. Cereval Ramp is open. Citrus will be opening on Saturday, August 26th, and that is just to alleviate the congestion in and around that area. Back to the Vice Mayor's point, we have had face-to-face meetings with our major employers along the Cotton Lane alignment. Vestar, as I reported out to Council, I believe it was last week, they're very encouraged to have the signage, the wayfinding signage during the for detours, so folks know how to get to Canyon Trails, because it is a little confusing when you get Cotton Lane closed. So they were very appreciative of that. Those signs we think will be going in about the time the Cotton Lane closes down, so it's just right out there. It was talked about the ADOT Business Forum, but they continue their outreach as well, and they understand that. So it's not only us, but it's them, and we appreciate what they're doing, and we'll continue to work with them. Couple of other items, as it has been a little bit of a break, but wanted to bring recognition to Paul Louisi. While you were out, he earned the Designated Chief Fire Officer designation, so that's one we'll get out as well. And that was earlier this month. He accepted that in Denver, Colorado as part of a conference. But that's a high-profile honor from the Commission on Professional Credentialing. Paul is one of 880 worldwide that has that designation. Our own fire chief has had that for, I'm not sure how many years, Mr. Gaylord, but he has had that for a number of years himself. The key thing is the criteria that it takes to get that designation. They look at their education experience, certainly, but also professional development, technical competencies, or work in communities, and contributions to the profession. So We're excited that Paul Louisi's gotten that. He's been with us for the past 5 years. He served in a couple of capacities for us. He is back after serving as our interim deputy city manager back in the fire department. Last thing is public safety. We don't often get the word out, and we want to do, I think, a better job of getting out some of the recognitions that we're receiving. But over the past few weeks, we've had a number of emails and letters that have come in both for public safety on both sides, police and fire. I want to share just a couple of those. Police department, and that includes patrol, SWAT, drug unit, canines. They were recognized by our North Subdivision residents for terrific work that they did to keep the community safe, and they were very involved in a certain, I'll say, issue that is now behind us, but they were very much recognized by those neighbors, which went a long way in building that the faith in our police department. They were recognized by Arizona in Action later this. They will be later this month for the lids on kids as part of the helmet. It was mentioned tonight. One of our police officers saw a tire blow out in an intersection. He helped get the car off to the side and called, notified her family that she was going to be delayed, changed her tire. So that's something that came into our police chief. And I'm not putting names out here, but I think it's important to know that it's hot out there, and when we render aid, it's very much appreciated. Another tire incident, and that's one where I sent out to council earlier in the month, is engine 183 assisted in a tire change for a truck that was involved in a traffic accident at Litchfield and Thomas. But what was great about that is she was actually bringing school supplies for Homeless Youth Connection on her way from Wickenburg to here. So we had the 183A folks that assisted in that tire change, and you did get a report on that earlier this month. But I think it's important to point out some of these examples as all our employees are out and about the job that they're doing out there. And I just want to publicly recognize fire and police for these actions because it's very much appreciated in the community. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Is there any staff summary of follow-up action items, or do any of you have any items to ask? I did notice that Catherine Miller, who we had on the consent agenda, will it be possible for her to still come and receive her oath? Haven't we been doing that for the other committee members? Or
Vice Mayor, we have, but in speaking with Mrs. Miller, she was going to contact our city clerk and come up and take the oath when she gets back into town. She is on vacation, because we had really hoped to have had her on the previous agenda, but somehow her name was not submitted in time to get everything done.
Oh, it would be nice.
So,
I think it's
Yeah.
great for our citizens to have that chance to.
yeah. Can we give her that option? Maureen, you want to ask her if she wants to come back when
Sure.
you contact her?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All righty. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.